Today we've got a former first-class cricketer from a strong cricketing background. This guy started his career in 1994 at Glamorgan, taking a wicket in his very first delivery, and he won the championship in 1997. He then crossed over to Surrey in 1999, and he was part of that successful county championship winning team. He now is passing on his sporting knowledge to the pupils at King's College, Wimbledon, and he's an overall top bloke, despite his love for Liverpool Football Club. Welcome to Stockport Grammar School Talks Sport, Gary Butcher. How are you doing?
Good, mate. Good to see you again, Danny.
Yeah, you too, pal. So we'll crack on. So, Gary, if you just want to talk a little bit about your journey from a schoolboy to guess where your cricket career to where you are today.
Yeah, well, so I went to Cumnor House School, which was in South Croydon. So it's a small little prep school that both Mark and I went to, and it produced quite a number of successful sportsmen. You know, Alistair Brown went there, played for England, one of the most destructive batsmen of all time that we've seen. Chris Robshaw was a Cumnor House boy, but he wasn't there then. Obviously, we're a bit older than him. But that school really sort of shaped the way, because the headmaster was sports mad, and he was doing a lot of things back then in 1970s and 80s that a lot of schools kind of pride themselves on now, with regards to sports scholars having the right mentality and attitude. Getting in ex-professional and current professional players at the time to come and coach the kids. So Cumnor House, was absolutely a brilliant start. From then on, went into professional cricket at I think I was 17, so it was actually 92 I started playing for Glamorgan, and that was quite an eye opener, sort of playing every single day. Gone from sort of playing under 16s and then into like a full on second 11 environment, but it was great fun, don't get me wrong.
How was that, Butch, in terms of such a young lad going into that setting at 17? How did you find that?
I mean, to be fair, it was all I'd ever wanted to do. So, since my days at Cumnor House, I don't think I mentioned Trinity School after that either. But it was all I ever had focused on doing. So it was just a very exciting time for me. And so, as any youngster with those dreams and ambitions, you find yourself doing your dream job. Yeah. You're going to love every moment of it. And, and basically playing cricket, was a great passion of mine as well. And so, playing cricket every day as a kid, whether it was for money or not, it didn't actually make any difference. I would have done it anyway. So it was fantastic.
No, brilliant. No, good. And then obviously after when you're 17, then what talk us through the next stages then?
Yeah. So obviously, I had played in the, got in the Glamorgan setup from 17, and I think I made my first class debut as a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Down against Somerset at Swansea. That was in one-day cricket, and then I played, I think, the year that same year. I might have made my first class debut that year against Leicester. So it was all good from that point of view. Everything was kind of falling into place there. And then, we had a major piece of success in Glamorgan's history in '97, winning the county championship first time since 1969. And then, things kind of tailed off a little bit there, but I was lucky. I joined Surrey in 1999 and, played a part in the team that won their first championship in since, when was it, 71, I think.
Yeah. But just to recap, you won the championship in 1999.
Yeah.
What a year that was, the treble winning for Manchester United at the same time.
Oh, right. Yeah, I thought you mentioned that. Yeah. In your mind, yeah. I was waiting for you to mention Man United. The call for 15 minutes already. But yeah, you are very correct. And then, yes, of course, 2000. And then I thought, sort of things didn't quite work out at Surrey. And then, so I've, effectively my cricket career finished in 2002. And then I got a job as a coach, to fill in as a coach at King's College, Wimbledon, to, I think it was my first sort gig coaching football, to be fair. So I took up the chance, and I've stayed there ever since, if you see what I mean, in various guises.
No, brilliant. And obviously, we're talking a little bit about high performance, and you obviously the Glamorgan team when you won the championship in '97 and Surrey of '99. That was high performance. What made those teams championship winning teams?
Oh, mate, I mean, a combination of a load of things. I mean, it's funny because I was on a chat call on Friday night over a few beers with a couple of ex-colleagues, you know, and good mates as well, you know, from that team, Darren Thomas and Dean Koska. And, you know, we were talking about that and how we all thought it sort of came together. And there was, you know, I think the overriding thing was that in that team, we had the team was right it was at the right time to win something. Where we had an amazing opening partnership in Hugh Morris and Steve James. We had a very solid cricketer in Adrian Dale at number 3. We had one of the best batsmen in the country in Matthew Maynard at number 4, and his captaincy was, you know, always aggressive on the front foot. You know, he was always 1 or 2 steps ahead. We had Robert Croft, played for England, a very experienced county player, as well as Steve Watkin. You know, players of note. We also had our overseas player was none other than the Waka Yunus, who one of the best bowlers, you know, the world has ever seen when he was in his pomp. But despite and also, you know, us youngsters sort of came in who were a bit sort of raw and, you know, a bit mad. But the whole thing combined together. Oh, I forgot to mention Duncan Fletcher, who was the coach, who went on to coach England for a number of years very successfully. And so a number of things aligned. But most of all, and the other 2 lads agreed, most of all was that we had an amazing team spirit. I mean, it was just something that, you know, it's like if you've ever been in a situation where every day you go to work, it's just the best thing in the world, you know, laughing and joking, everybody enjoying each other, everybody working hard, enjoying each other's company, you know, lots of laughs, lots of enjoyment off the field, people sharing each other's success on it. So all of those things, you know, really came to the fore that year, and there were some outstanding performances from a lot of those senior players who eventually got us over the line.
In terms of that, I guess that links into having all the same goal, isn't it? Like everybody's going into work having a laugh, but you knew when to switch it on, you knew when to be serious and go out and compete.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, and everybody knew where that line was, but you know, but we still also enjoyed it while we were all together out on the field there. You know, I mean, it wasn't any, you know, it wasn't any. I can't remember any days where you felt that you couldn't sort of have a word to the batsman or crack a joke in the field if things were going a bit slowly. So everybody, you know, and a lot of that was down to Maynard's captaincy, the sort of bloke he was, and still is. But it was just a real good time, you know, and you know, it's not like everybody really wanted to be in each other's pockets all the time, every single day, every single minute of every day. It was just that when it was work, you know, everybody worked really hard, whether it was training. You know, Duncan Fletcher came in, and the coaching that we had, you know, the intensity of the training sessions, you know, how we practice, that was all new to us, to a lot of us, and so it was all, you know, fantastic, eye-opening, and you know, and really wanted to drive you on.
Yeah, no, brilliant. You've been a bit coy about this, but you've not mentioned yet your famous moment where you got 4 wickets in 4 balls. Talk us through that and what was going through your head.
I didn't know you were going to ask me about this directly, but that's probably the best thing, to be fair. But well, I mean, it was funny because it was 2000, and I'd been in the second team, and the Surrey squad at that time was absolutely unbelievable. You know, just star-studded international side, and but again, like the Glamorgan dressing room, everybody with the one goal, captained by Adam Hollyoake. You know, and so it was tough to get in the team. But you knew that if you were to get into the team, it had to be on the back of a lot of runs and a lot of wickets in the second team. And then if you got in, you got a chance, then you had to try and do something, you know, if you got the chance. So I think I was thrown the ball. I had a little bowl before lunch, and I think there was only about 4 or 5 games left that season. So I knew that if I sort of, you know, made a contribution, you know, then I'd should be able to play for the rest of the season and hopefully be part of another championship winning side, which it turned out to be. So yes, I had a bowl just before lunch. Adam gave me the ball, and it was a nice day for a bowler like me because it's sort of zipping off the wicket and it was swinging in the air a lot, so it was moving around. And I managed to get Rob Bailey, who played for Northampton, not to play for England as well. Managed to get him LBW before lunch, and so I thought, well, if I get another chance, it's looking good in my favour. So we had lunch and came back. Tim Munton, I think, caught at slip by Martin Bicknell, and then Paul Aldred as well. My brother caught in at slip as well as the ball was moving around so much.
Yeah.
The over before I think it was Munton got him first, and it was another over.
Yeah.
Part of the next over, I got out Tim Munton, Kevin Dean was the hat-trick ball, and the hat-trick ball didn't actually go to plan because that was supposed to be an in-swinger.
Right.
But it actually went straight on. It was a wide half volley. He had a big swish at it, nicked it, and Martin Bicknell grabbed it, caught it at slip. So that was a hat-trick. And then Leon Wharton was the number 11, and I managed to get the ball right. I'd intended to bowl to Dean, who was also a left-hander.
Yeah.
So it started outside off stump, swung back in. He played forward, got him out LBW, and luckily Sunshine Ray put his finger up for 4 and 4.
Amazing, yeah. Well, what was going through your head at that moment?
Well, no, not. I mean, not a lot. I just wanted to get him out, and I knew I mean, because I'd never taken a first-class hat-trick before, so I don't think I'd taken one in second-team cricket either. But I knew that if I got the ball sort of there and thereabouts, then I'd have a chance the way it was moving. So from that point of view, I just thought, well, what I've got to do is probably just bowl my normal sort of stock delivery, and I'll have a chance of getting the wickets.
Yeah.
And then I didn't have any idea that no one had taken 4 wickets in 4 balls since. Well, I think it hadn't been done for 13 years, I think. So of course, as you go off, and I remember going off, and there was quite a decent crowd in the pavilion at the Oval, and they all erupted when I got the 4 and 4, and got absolutely mobbed by teammates. So I think I've still got a bruise in my head from where Alex Tudor sort of mobbled me unintentionally, but it was a great feeling. It was something you'll never forget. No.
So just talking about then all your accomplishments, what you did in your cricketing career. What are you most proud of when you look back at it now?
That's an interesting one. I mean, obviously that's up there, and obviously being, sometimes obviously we've had a lot of time to reflect over these periods of just being stuck indoors, not being able to do anything, and of course your mind sort of wanders back to happier times. And so I suppose, obviously, winning the county championship, being part of those 2 brilliant teams, is something I'm obviously proud of. But the second 11 at Surrey won the, I think it was called the Aon Trophy back then, and I was skipper. We went down to Taunton, and I found out that my contract wasn't being renewed, but it was kind of like the sort of last hurrah at the time, and so that team had some fantastic players in it. Guys like Michael Carberry, Ricky Clark, Timmy Murtagh, Scotty Newman. So all went on to have real good first class careers. We managed to win the trophy down there, and Gareth Batty was playing, and I managed I was captain that day, and I managed to, I think, can't remember how it went, but Somerset got 258, and they were quite happy off their 50 overs with that score. Yeah. And we went out there and we won with 10 overs to spare, and I managed to play a significant knock that day, and that was quite a nice feeling when I walked off. To given the circumstances of where I was at, I was quite proud of how the team had performed that day, because obviously Somerset had a very good team too. They were slightly older than our team, more experienced, but that was nice.
And then on the flip side, obviously in sporting career, professional career, there's lots of ups, there's downs. Have you got any significant setbacks which stick out to you, and what did you do to overcome them?
It was interesting. I was kind of thinking about that today. I mean, every time you're expecting to play and you don't make the final team. That's very disappointing. You have to keep coming back from that. So, you know, it was a case of, right, go back into the second team, score some runs. I mean, I guess, or take some wickets, but that's what you had to do, you know, and a lot of, you know, I think quite a few players, you know, would end up going back to the second team and having a bit of a strop. And I mean, I was guilty of it. And, you know, I think it happens and it's all part of a learning curve. But, you know, when you're really expecting to play and you don't, and you're told to go back down to the seconds, or you miss a game, you have to do 12th man, you know, and if you're doing 12th man, you've got to stay at the ground, you've got to do your duties, and you've got to be as good around the group as you possibly can whilst you're sort of dealing with your disappointment. But, you know, I wasn't, you know, if I'd got you know, if I got a naught or a, you know, or bowled badly, it wasn't like I'd sit in the hotel room and sulk about it and blah, blah, blah. Because you knew there was always another day, and you always have to back your own ability to always sort of bounce back. So, but yeah, you know, I think it's something that all professional sportsmen will deal with, you know, the knockbacks of not being selected, not performing well. And you just got to be mentally strong. You've got to rise above it, and you've got to continue to work hard. Yeah, no, definitely. I think trying to also flip it into a positive in it and thinking, you know what, yeah, that's a setback there, but you know what, I'm going to use that fire to prove that person wrong who's not selected me, or I reflect and look at my own ability and think, oh, okay, I need to improve that, so I push on. So, have you had role models? Have you had any people who've influenced you, and why along the journey? Yeah, well, obviously my members of my family, obviously my dad and my brother Mark. But and also my mum, you know, I can't sort of take her out of that equation in the what, you know, I mean, if you think about it, she was the one that drove us to the grounds, you know, so we could go and watch Dad play. And you know, and be in that environment as a youngster where you would, you know, we got to meet our heroes at that time, which was amazing. You know, I can remember meeting Viv Richards, you know, at the Oval, and Joel Garner and Ian Botham, you know, and seeing these kids seeing these unbelievable, some of the best that the world's ever seen. Meeting these guys at that age was unbelievable. But also sort of spoke about it before at the start, the school environment that we were, you know, that Mark and I were, you know, lucky to have, you know, that sort of upbringing. And one of the main guys was a fella called Steve Kember, who I think we've spoken about before. So Steve was ex-Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Leicester, played for Vancouver Whitecaps as well back in the days. And he, you know, he obviously taught us the football sort of once he'd retired. But he also taught us a lot of cricket as well. He loved his cricket. But, you know, everything was done, that mentality that he instilled in us, you know, when we were kids, you know, sort of back in the days when you could tell people off if you weren't doing well enough. You know, he was brilliant at that, but there was also the humour as well. So Steve sort of, but obviously he wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the vision of the headmaster back then. His name was Duncan White, who died unfortunately 2 years ago. But he, I think, you know, those two, that sort of vision really sort of had a good sort of influence on my sporting life, coaching life, and you know, all of it basically.
What are your 3 non-negotiable behaviours you'd expect from yourself and anybody you come into contact with?
Non-negotiables, good manners.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, when we were working together, you know, you were very much, you know, I was amazed at how many times during the day you'd always say hello to people, good morning, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I think that's very important. I think the more people that can do that, the better. What else? You know, you've got to have a good work ethic. You've got to enjoy what you do. You know, and you've got to always keep, you know, always keep striving, pushing yourself, trying to get better.
Gary Butch, if you could go back to school, maybe at Stockport Grammar School as a 12-year-old,
Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now?
Oh, that's a good one. I think the main one would be to make sure you take on advice, or the advice you're given, you know, and you know, don't feel afraid if you're challenged. Being challenged, I think, is a good thing. You know, but I think you've also got to look at it and try and enjoy what you're doing, understand why you're doing it. You know, rather than, I think you see a lot of kids at a session, they just do stuff and they don't sort of think about it.
Yeah.
So I definitely, if I was to go back, I'd probably use or wish I'd been encouraged to sort of think a bit more about what I was doing and the reasons as to why I was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think, yeah, and also perhaps would have worked a bit harder, probably practiced a bit harder at certain things, I think. But yeah, I think that's about it, to be fair.